At Asia Security Forum, Chinese Defence Minister says Beijing seeks dialogue with US and warns against a NATO-like alliances in Pacific region. Chinese Defence Minister Li Shangfu has said that Beijing seeks dialogue over confrontation with the United States, warning that any conflict between the two nations would bring unbearable disaster for the world. Speaking at Asia's top security summit, the Shangri-La Dialogue, on Sunday, Li said the world was big enough for China and the US to grow together. China and the US have different systems and are different in many other ways, he said in a speech that marked his first significant international address since he was named China's Minister of National Defense in March. However, this should not keep the two sides from seeking common ground and common interests to grow bilateral ties and deepen cooperation, he said. It is undeniable that a severe conflict or confrontation between China and the US will be an unbearable disaster for the world. Ties between Washington and Beijing are badly strained over a range of issues, including democratically ruled Taiwan, territorial disputes in the South China Sea and US President Joe Biden's restrictions on semiconductor chip exports. In their latest row, China's military criticized the US and Canada for deliberately provoking risk after the country's navies staged a rare joint sailing through the sensitive Taiwan Strait on Saturday. US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin rebuked China in a speech at the security meeting in Singapore on Saturday for refusing to hold military talks, leaving the superpowers deadlocked over their differences. Li, who the US sanctioned in 2018 over weapons purchases from Russia, shook hands with Austin at a dinner on Friday, but the two have not had a deeper discussion, despite Washington's repeated demands for more military exchanges. I am deeply concerned that the PRC, People's Republic of China, has been unwilling to engage more seriously on better mechanisms for crisis management between our two militaries, Austin told the meeting in Singapore. The more that we talk, the more that we can avoid the misunderstandings and miscalculations that could lead to crisis or conflict. He added that Washington would not flinch in the face of bullying or coercion from China and would continue regularly sailing through and flying over the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea to emphasize they are international waters, countering Beijing's sweeping territorial claims in the region. Li, dressed in the uniform of a general in China's People's Liberation Army, was more restrained in his speech, although he took thinly veiled digs at the US, accusing some countries of intensifying an arms race and willfully interfering in the internal affairs of others. He warned against the establishment of NATO-like military alliances in the Asia-Pacific, saying they would only plunge the region into a whirlpool of disputes and conflicts. A Cold War mentality is now resurgent, greatly increasing security risks, he said. Mutual respect should prevail over bullying and hegemony. Li appeared to be referring to Washington's shoring up alliances and partnerships in the region, including its AUKUS alliance with Australia and the United Kingdom. The US is also a member of the Quad Group, which includes Australia, India and Japan. Li went on to accuse the US and others of meddling in China's internal affairs by providing self-rule Taiwan, which Beijing claims as its own territory, with defense support and training, and conducting high-level diplomatic visits. China stays committed to the path of peaceful development, but we will never hesitate to defend our legitimate rights and interests, let alone sacrifice the nation's core interests, he added.